1986, Akhand Bhajan. We were waiting for Swami. Swami came and sat there. Swami looked at the watch and it was already 10 minutes past 6. In Prashant Lamb, it's a wall clock which chimes. Exactly at the stroke of every hour, it chimes. But that day at 6, it didn't ring. Phir Swami didn't bother about the clock. Swami continued to talk to us. What he spoke to us about, what he told us, that I'll tell you. Exactly at around 16 minutes past 6, Swami said, "Haan, bhajan shuru karo." Swami said, very nonchalantly, he got up and walked out, and the clock started striking 6 times. Tong, tong. At 16 minutes past 6, Akhand Bhajan started, and the clock. So I have seen how he is Samay, he is Gati, he is everything. In my heart I was saying, Swami, aapke college mein aana hai, padhne ke liye. The moment I did this loud thinking, Swami just replied back. Pat came the reply from Bhagwan. "Haan, aa sakta hai," he said. I was shocked. मैंने कंपोज किया था ये अयोध्या शिरोमणि, और नेक्स्ट डे भजन गाने से पहले स्वामी looked at me and said, "साकेत रंजन, नया वर्ड मिला तुमको?" I had not told this bhajan to anyone. साकेत रंजन कैवल्य धामा. That was the first day of revelation when he said, "Ab bolo kaun compose kiya hai? Who composed it? Tell me." We were all in tears. There was nobody who was not crying there. We were telling Swami, "You have composed it, Swami." कैसे कह दूं कि आप पास नहीं होते हैं. कैसे कह दूं कि आप पास नहीं होते हैं. महसूस पल पल करता हूँ, मगर दीदार नहीं होते हैं. यादों को तेरी सीने में बिठाए जीते हैं. लब तो फिर भी सीलों आंसू दगा दे जाते हैं. सगा रे ग मगरे सरे धनि सा ग म धनि सरे गा पा मगरे सगा रे ग मगरे सरे धनि सा. जाऊं कहीं हो न दूर तुम, हो संग मेरे यादों में तुम. जाऊं कहीं हो न दूर तुम, हो संग मेरे यादों में तुम. फासलों ने जब भी तन्हा किया, फासलों ने जब भी तन्हा किया, दीदार दिल ने खुदा किया. जाऊं कहीं हो न दूर तुम, हो संग मेरी यादों में तुम. कुदरत तेरी किस्मत तेरी है संग तेरा हर पल हंसी कुदरत तेरी किस्मत तेरी है संग तेरा हर पल हंसी मांगू मैं क्या मेरे खुदा जाना कि हम है ना जुदा गाऊं कहीं हो न दूर तुम हो संग मेरी यादों में तुम भटके थे तो सहारा बना डूबे सही किनारा बना भटके थे तो सहारा बना डूबे सही किनारा बना कभी साहिब तो कभी महबूब हर दाम तू हमारा बना जाऊं कहीं हो न दूर तुम हो संग मेरी यादों में तुम फासलों ने जब भी तन्हा किया दीदार दिल ने खुदा किया जाऊं कहीं हो न दूर तुम हो संग मेरी यादों में तुम I offer my most prayerful salutations at your divine lotus feet, my most beloved Bhagwan. Dear sisters and brothers, Sai Ram, pranams to all of you. I had intended to start this satsang with a new Ganesh Bhajan, thinking that as per tradition, we normally start with a Ganesh Bhajan. But then preceding my talk, we already had a beautiful bhajan session. And let me tell you, this is one of the most beautiful bhajan sessions I have attended. Extremely good in singing, and especially you sang so well. Of course, you also sang so well. And to be here, I really thank this divine moment. I thank Brother Abhinav. Yeah, you all have been instrumental in giving me this opportunity, this privilege to be here and to be in this Sadhu Samagam. There are a lot of things that come to your mind as such an occasion. Well, let me start with, I feel a compulsion to sing that Ganesh Bhajan. It's a new composition. And you know, these bhajans make you understand that Swami is a continued presence. He is not only an avatar of the past, but someone who lives with you, within you all the time. True to his words, I live with you, around you, within you, above you, below you, everywhere. Inchi inchi kadu, inti inti, that's what Swami had said. Every house, every home, every heart. Let's sing this bhajan, Vinayak Ganesh Bhajan together. It's a nice bhajan. Vinayaka Gauri Nandana Vinayaka Gauri Nandana Gajvadana Prathama Vandana Pahi Ganesha Deva Buddhi Pradayaka Deva Siddhi Vinayaka Deva Mahadeva शोभित मातंग वदना मोदक प्रिय शुभ मंगल चरणा वक्रतुंड महाकाय मोक्ष प्रदायक देवा विनायक देवा महादेवा ओ सिद्धि विनायक देवा साई देवा विनायका गौरी नंदना गजवदना प्रथम वंदना पाहि गणेश देवा बुद्धि प्रदायक देवा सिद्धि विनायक देवा साई देवा सिद्धि विनायक देवा सिंदूर शोभित मातंग वदना सिंदूर शोभित मातंग वदना मोदक प्रिय शुभ मंगल चरणा वक्रतुंड महाकाय मोक्ष प्रदायक देवा वक्रतुंड महाकाय मोक्ष प्रदायक देवा सिद्धि विनायक देवा महादेवा सिद्धि विनायक देवा महादेवा विनायका Gauri Nandana. Did you like this bhajan?
Yes.
You know, all of us, we had that first tryst with Bhagwan when he chose to call us and bring us to him. And I can bet my last penny that each one of us here, if we were to be asked to narrate our experiences, it would take years and centuries. We have so much to share. That is how Swami treated us. This being my opportunity, I'll just share my experience with you. My first time. I was then around 13, 14 years old, going to school. And Sikkim even today, is a very far-flung small state tucked in the laps of the Himalayas. There are a lot of people who didn't know what was Sikkim some years back. And there, in a lady's house, Vibhuti was being manifested in his pictures. My mother was a school teacher. She went to this lady's house, her friend's house, after the school hours, and she came home with a beautiful book, a collection of bhajans. It was a nice bhajan sankalan. And this book had on the cover a picture of Bhagwan, which was not even a clear picture, a very smudged picture of Bhagwan. And I looked at the picture, and for no reason or rhyme, I said, here is God. I really fell in love with Bhagwan straight away, on the spur of the moment. I felt that if there is God, it must be Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. I asked my mother, she told us the story, and this is how Bhagwan's picture, in the form of a picture, he came into our life, our home. And then those were the times when Sikkim was a kingdom. And we being Tibetans, Buddhists, very conservative, we were forbidden almost, not legally, but we were forbidden from even thinking about any other religion other than Buddhism. And that too, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, not even the other forms of Buddhism. And once in a while, some of the royalty also used to visit our home, and we were afraid that things would be informed to the higher-ups that this family, they have abandoned their religion, their tradition, and they have embraced Hinduism. So we thought that Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba was Hindu then. Can you imagine? So I wanted to learn more about Swami. There was a local Hindu temple called Thakur Bari. I started going there. A group of experts in Satya Sai lore, they came from Darjeeling to teach how to sing bhajan and tell us about Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and Puttaparthi. So flushed with excitement, I came home. I had learned some 3 or 4 bhajans. The first being anybody's guess, Manas Bhajari Guru Charanam. Simplest but the most profound bhajan. And at home, we had a traditional, typical Tibetan Buddhist type of altar. So I wanted a picture of Swami, a proper picture of Bhagwan. Went downtown, and in a small wayside shop, I found a picture of Swami in a frame. It was a framed picture of Bhagwan. Brought the picture home. Then we discussed about where we should place the picture on the altar. We did it, ultimately. And then the day came when we thought we would inaugurate our bhajan session at home. Because I had learned some 4 or 5 bhajans by that time. So we wanted to sing. But we were afraid to sing it aloud, thinking that somebody might eavesdrop, somebody might hear about it and report the matter to the higher-ups. So we thought we would whisper it out. Anyway, we didn't know the tunes properly. So we all stood around the altar, and I still remember that day when I sang one Ganesh bhajan and then Manas Bhajari Guru Charanam. And that we sang just Manasa Bhajari, like this we sang. And the first bhajan, the Ganesh bhajan that we sang, Vinayaka, Vinayaka, Vigna Nasha Vinayaka. You know that bhajan? Very old bhajan. It's a vintage bhajan. So I just sang Vinayaka, just sang the bhajan. And 2 drops of Amrit formed on the photo. And straight away it started pouring down. And since that day, there was no looking back. We thought, doesn't matter, too fixed to anybody, but we'll sing Swami's bhajans. And this is how we started singing Swami's bhajans. And I used to study in Darjeeling, Kalimpong, in Darjeeling district. At that age, got into wrong ways, learned how to smoke a cigarette, and did some of the nuttiest, most stupid things on earth, lot of indulgences. And ultimately, when my father passed away, I was around 14, almost 15 years, when my father passed away. And it was at that time, it was a moment of reckoning for me. I understood the value of a parent when he passes away. I wanted to make good for all the mistakes that I had committed, but there was no looking back, no chance. Ultimately, after the death obsequies, I felt very sick. And I was so sick that I thought I was going to die. I was reduced to a skeleton, and I had a very persistent type of cough, which ultimately turned into a type of pneumonia. Doctors came and said that I had bronchial asthma. I couldn't breathe at all. Something was terribly wrong with me. Breathing was such a big torture. Once they had to put me on oxygen for quite some time. Then I told my mother that I have not been a good son to my father. So if I have to atone for it by dying, let me go to Puttaparthi and die. Because we were already devotees of Bhagwan, very superficial devotees. Just knowing a few bhajans won't make you a devotee. Then my mother thought that it would be the best thing to take me to Puttaparthi, because I had been all the time talking about death and just dying, should go to Puttaparthi, and at his feet I want to atone for my mistakes and I want to die. So we reached Puttaparthi. That itself, by itself, was a big miracle. Reaching Puttaparthi would take 3 days in the train. We had to change the train 3 times. Ultimately, somehow we reached Puttaparthi. 1977, December 31st, we were in Puttaparthi. And on New Year's Day, he called us in. Now let me tell you, the Prashanti Nilayam then was a completely different concept. The moment we entered Puttaparthi, there was pin drop silence. Silence was pervading everywhere. And then when I was the only loud person, because I was so ecstatic that we had reached our destination. Very phlegmatically I was telling, where do you think we should go and all that. And one gentleman came out from the Ganesh shed. He just told me, shh, don't talk loud here. You're not allowed. And then he said, I'll show you the accommodation office. Took me to the accommodation office. And there was a man with a big beaming with a big smile. And he said, where did you come from? So we said, we are from Sikkim. I was with my mother and my niece. He said, oh, such a faraway place. How long are you going to stay? We said, 1 month, sir. He said, why only 1 month? Why don't you stay for 3 months? At least 3 months, if not 6 months. Stay on. Enjoy yourself. You are in heaven. Something, a far cry from today. When you go to Puttaparthi, someone telling you, stay on for 3 months, I'll give you accommodation. And then we were inside one, in West Prashanti 1 of the rooms allotted to us, went for tea, and then darshan was almost happening. Somebody said, Swami is about to come out. And those were the days of Chitravati river sand, carpet of sands, and you could go and sit anywhere you like. First come, first serve. Choose your spot and sit down. No one to come and tell you not to sit. And then no darshan music. And Swami just walked out of his interview room. Then he started walking, and I was surprised, I was so shocked to see God For the first time in my life, God in life form, walking around there. And then he came near us and then said, go inside. It was such a wonderful, wonderful moment. Just come to reach Puttaparthi, you get an accommodation, have the best tea and the best snacks in the canteen, go and sit for darshan wherever you like, and then Swami comes and tells you, go in. So I was gaping at Bhagwan. I was so shocked, I didn't know how to react to that, and Swami walked away. And later on, people told me, so stupid you are. You should have gone inside. Swami called you in. And the real interview happened the next day in the morning. We attended Suprabhatam. That evening we sat for bhajan. And the bhajan was so scintillating. I learned my first lesson that day, that if an experience is so captivating, you don't forget it even after a passage of decades, you don't forget it. That first bhajan that I attended in Puttaparthi, I remember every bhajan in a sequence. Although bhajans were new to me, the first Ganesh bhajan, Bhavani Nandan Bala Gajanana, Pranava Surupa Sai, sung by, later on I came to know she was Bhajan Vijaya, one lady whose voice was like an angel. And this is how bhajan went on for almost two hours bhajan. And then Swami got up for Arati. Next day we were in for interview. And then in the interview room, Swami looked at me and said, "Kya chahiye bolo? Aisa kai ko karta hai?" I was panting. Then my mother said that Swami, he is so sick. Swami said, he should be sick. He has been smoking cigarette. And he has been abusing himself like this. He has been into every wrong indulgence. Then he looked at me and said, "Tumko ek jawani diya, waste kiya. Tumko ek life diya, usko waste kiya tune. Ab tumko marna chahiye," he said. The moment he said, I should die, I was so happy. Because I had gone with that intention. The mindset is so important. If I had gone with the mindset to live, to be rescued by Bhagwan, to be saved by Bhagwan, this would have been a damper to me. But when I had gone there with the intention to die at his feet, and the thing was really happening now. And Swami said, "A person like you should die." I said, "Swami, marne ke liye aaya hu, Swami. Jeevan nahi chahiye, Swami." And I was panting, and it was so difficult to even utter those words. "Swami, aapke चरणों में मरना है." फिर स्वामी ने कहा, Swami said, "इतना easy नहीं है मरना. It's not so easy to die." I said, "Swami, जिंदगी में डैडी फादर का अच्छा लड़का मैं नहीं हूँ, इसलिए मर जाना ठीक है स्वामी. मरने के बाद इन्हीं के घर में फिर मुझे जन्म लेना है स्वामी, ये भी आशीर्वाद दे दीजिए." The moment I said that and touched his feet, he raised me up and hugged me. And he opened up 2 of my buttons on my shirt, exposed my chest, which was heaving so much, created vibhuti, applied it on my chest and said, "Saas lo." And I took in a deep breath. Swami said, "Phir karo." 3 times I breathed, I was healed completely. Can you imagine? That very moment, he had healed me. Then he said, "Ab kya? Now that you are healed, what next?" Because I experienced one thing. The moment I was healed, there was this fantastic feel, that fantastic will to live again. I wanted to live, I wanted to do so many things. Suddenly I was so dynamic. My mind was just running helter-skelter. And Swami said, "Next, kya chahiye tumko?" And in my heart I was saying, "Swami, aapke college mein aana hai, padhne ke liye." The moment I did this loud thinking, Swami just replied back. Pat came the reply from Bhagwan. "Haan, aa sakta hai," he said. I was shocked. I had just thought of it and he replied. Then I thought, is it really happening? Then I thought, let me test it again. I said, "Swami, aapke college mein aana hai." Again, I did a loud thinking with more emphasis. And Swami said, "Bola na tumko, aa sakta hai." And then after that, there was no second thinking, no second thoughts. He knew everything that I was thinking. He was in my breath. He was in my thought. He was in everything. He was the most almighty, the most powerful, merciful Lord. Then when this happened to me, then he looked at my mother and said, "Isko next year bhejo, May mein Swami admission deta hai." Then we went back home. Now I'm just cutting short the story. And then once we were back home, in the course of our stay there, a month-long stay, I learned so many new bhajans. I made so many friends. There were so many good bhajan singers there. From them we could learn. We met even Bhajan Vijay in person. But all said and done, once we were back home, I started counting back. I started counting my days that I have to now get prepared. I have to prepare myself for. So the next year, by May, I was in Whitefield for summer course. I was in Puttaparthi first. I was in Puttaparthi. I thought Swami would recognize me straight away, pull me up and say, "Tumko admission dene ke liye bulaya tha, aa gaya beta, tumko abhi admission de dega." Nothing like that happened. I sat for darshan and he didn't even look at me. I thought he didn't recognize me, I think. Because I never thought, then I thought, how can God forget you? If He is God, then He should recognize me. And how can He go against His words, His promise? Then I waited for 1 or 2 or 3 days persistently. I sat in the front, right in the front, and He completely ignored me. And you know it very, very well, when He ignores you, you don't exist. And then He did it so much. This nazarandaz itna kiya Swami ne, कि मैंने सोचा मेरा बैठना ही बेकार है, वहाँ बैठना ही गुनाह है. मेरे कारण इतने सारे लोगों को स्वामी उस तरफ हमारी तरफ देखते ही नहीं थे. I thought because of me, I am an obstruction for a lot of people. Then I stopped coming there. The day before yesterday, I was telling you my experience of having Hanumanji's darshan, and all those things happened within that time. But slowly, by an inner reflex, I started understanding, realizing that something is terribly wrong with me. I must introspect. So when I introspected, I found myself wanting in so many things. I knew that मेरी अपनी गलतियों के कारण, अपनी त्रुटियों के कारण स्वामी मुझे नज़रअंदाज कर रहे हैं, स्वामी मुझसे बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. Then I thought one of the things that I am very much addicted to is talking too much. ज़्यादा I am over talkative. मैंने सोचा ये बात करना बंद कर दूँ तो मैं खुद को संभाल सकूं. So I started my Maun Vratam. So even later on when I joined Swami's college, people used to call me Maunam Sonam. And Sonam, Maunam, ये सारे नाम लोगों ने दिया था क्योंकि I used to get into Maun Vrat quite often to control myself. So I did Maun Vratam, and one of those days was my first initiation. I drew a small diamond in front of me on the sand, thinking that this is my heart. And Swami, you should step into my heart if I'm worth anything. Because you have called me, मैं संभल गया हूँ, मुझे गलतियों का, मेरी अपनी गलतियों का एहसास मुझे हो रहा है स्वामी. आप मुझसे बात कीजिए, मुझे अंदर बुलाइए, मुझे एडमिशन दे दीजिए. ये सारे प्रार्थनाएं कर करके फिर मैंने एक छोटा सा ये डायमंड शेप बनाया. और वो करने के बाद then I closed my eyes and got into a type of deep meditation type of thing. And then Swami had quietly come out from the interview room. He had already given darshan to the ladies, and he had come towards our side, and he was standing right in front of me. मुझे आभास हुआ ही नहीं. I didn't even feel that he was standing there. Only when he hit me on my head like this, it jolted me to reality. I looked at him, and Swami was looking at me smiling, and he said, "I'm in your heart," he said. Very quietly he said that. It was almost a whisper. He said, "I'm in your heart." Then after that, I thought that was my first initiation. It was not even my sickness, but the intensity with which I prayed to him to step into my heart was that day. And then that happened later on when I became a student of Bhagwan. By chance, there is so much of values unboarding in Puttaparthi, in Vrindavan. I had joined Vrindavan, his campus. That year I didn't get admission. The next year I had to wait for another 1 year. And the next year when I didn't go prepared for admission, I had gone only for summer course, where definitely I was denied a ticket. I was denied the badge. So I was not a summer course student. So I lived through the whole entire summer course running after Swami's car, and then pining for one of those badges that could otherwise transport me right inside heaven. Then when that didn't happen, summer course got over. Then Swami asked me to anyway, ultimately to cut things short, asked me to leave, go back home. So I went back to Sikkim. The next year, when I had not come for admission, but I had come for the summer course. मैंने सोचा एक समर कोर्स मुझे हो जाए, मुझे और कुछ नहीं चाहिए. और उस वक्त स्वामी ने मुझे एडमिशन इस तरह दिया कि I went and applied for the summer course, applied for admission, and then I got selected. I got into the hostel. So once in the hostel, there was one great person in a very big inspiration in Calcutta who had composed a beautiful bhajan. Swami had given him this bhajan in his dream. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, Swami woke him up. Swami came in his dream and said, "Write down the bhajan, you'll forget it." So I had learned this bhajan from this man himself. That is Giridhari Lal, Shyamu Gopal, Natwar Lal, Madana Gopal. And once I joined Vrindavan, there was an audition. Boys were selected, whoever had any talent were selected to be in the music group. Swami was still in Prashanti Nilayam. We were anticipating Bhagwan any time. And during that audition, I gave my name for every instrument that came to my mind, thinking somewhere I could at least get a leverage, I would get a foothold. कहीं ना कहीं मेरे को लगना था. मैंने कहा हारमोनियम, हारमोनिका, accordion, keyboard, ये सारा लिख दिया मैंने. और मुझे हारमोनियम में I got selected for playing harmonium in the bhajan. So the first day I attended college, the campus, Vrindavan, they asked me to come and sing one bhajan. एक भजन गाने का मौका मिला. पहली बार ये भजन गिरिधारी लाल श्याम गोपाल गाया था. मैं थोड़ा सा आपके साथ गा के सुनाऊं. आप जानते हैं ये भजन. गिरिधरी लाल श्याम गोपाल नटवर लाल मदन गोपाल मथुरा नाथ कृष्ण गोपाल श्री मधुसूदन मुरली गोपाल यशोदा के बाल नंद गोपाल ईश्वरमा प्रिय साई गोपाल. ओ गिरिधरी लाल श्याम गोपाल नटवर लाल मदन गोपाल. Who hasn't heard this bhajan? सबको मालूम है ये bhajan. It's almost like a national anthem for the Sai devotees. And this was a bhajan given to this Devnath Mukherjee in his dream by Bhagwan. And Swami said, wake up, write it down, you'll forget it. क्योंकि उनको संगीत, he had not learned music. He didn't have swar gyan. So the bhajan had to be immediately remembered. And when he woke up, he was fresh with this tune. And he woke up his wife and said, where is the harmonium? बाहर निकालो harmonium, मैं भूल जाऊंगा भजन. और wife ने कहा, सोने भी नहीं देती हो. You don't even let me sleep peacefully. What is this madness? So the harmonium was taken out from underneath the bed, and then he wrote down the song before he would forget, and he recorded the song. Then this is how he remembered the bhajan for posterity. And this was the first bhajan I got a chance to sing. And back to the hostel, everybody was telling me, "Arey teri gala mein kuch hai." So that was an age when the slightest wind, the slightest breeze also would make you swell so much, you know. तो मैं लड़कों ने सबने कहा तूने बहुत अच्छा गाया, ये हुआ वो हुआ, तो I hit the ceiling straight away. Later on, when Swami came to Vrindavan, now this is one beautiful experience of a lifetime in my life. This would have happened to all of you so many times, all the alumni brothers, sisters here. It would have happened to you also. Nobody in this world can really spell it out. How would the students know about Swami's advent? We were having our breakfast in the morning, and all of a sudden there was a thunderous uproar. And that was because of the hooves of the students, running feet, people running towards the main gate because Swami had arrived. And how did they know? I was wondering, how did they know that Swami has come? We were so much into our breakfast. Or by the time I also reached the main gate, I saw Swami's car was parked right in front of the gate, main door. And our warden, the revered Professor E. Sudarshanji, he had opened the car door and he was talking to Swami. And Swami, very lovingly, by the time, just exactly the time when I reached there, Swami pulled his cheek, pulled his nose, and he gave him a slight pat on his cheek. And you know what I thought at the time? This thought came to me, ran through my mind. Swami must be God to do this to Sudarshan. That was the reverence that we had for our warden. That was the reverence that we had for all our teachers. Because they exuded that type of aura. Each one of them was a paragon of virtues. And looking at each one of them, we used to feel, काश मेरी जिंदगी में मैं इनकी तरह बन सकूं, सुदर्शन जैसा बन सकूं, कमल सानी जैसा बन सकूं, या अनूप झलानी जैसा बन सकूं. Each person was such a huge character, was such a huge personality. And then that was the first time in the evening Swami was in the hostel. And the seniors, they pushed me right to the front and said, तेरे को गाना है भजन. शायद ही ऐसा कोई यूनिवर्सिटी होगा, कोई ऐसी जगह होगा इस विश्व में जहाँ पर लोग आपको अपॉर्चुनिटी देने के लिए खुद को पीछे हटाकर, आपको पुश करके, प्रॉपल करके आगे की तरफ धकेल के आपको आगे बढ़ाने की इजाज़त दें, कोशिश करें. This happens only in a value-oriented place like Prashanti Nilayam and Vrindavan. And I was right in the front, and then I sang this. I didn't know what to sing, so I sang Giridhari Lal Shyam Gopal. This was the first bhajan ever I got a chance to sing in his presence. And then in the evening, Swami was going back to the bungalow. And once he was right into the bungalow, Swami started asking, who is that boy, who are the newcomers? And then Swami asked a principal now, another very revered sage of Vrindavan, Principal D. Narendra. We used to call him very lovingly Ganapati because he had a nice, beautiful pot belly. But then, apart from that, he was a true sage. सब लोग हमें लगता था कि शायद even the ants and insects were in deep reverence to this gentleman. Such was the personality of Ganapati ji. So Swami asked him, who is that chinky-eyed boy who sang bhajan today? So he said he is so-and-so from Sikkim. So Swami said, oh, is that so? As though he didn't know about it. So the next day in the morning when we went for bhajan, these first days are always so important. You remember everything very vibrantly, everything you remember. Very graphically you can describe. So I went there and Swami called me, hey, dry fish, come here. जैसे ही स्वामी ने मुझे ड्राई फिश कहा, इतना बुरा लगा because my ego was so big at the time. Protrusions were everywhere. The moment he said dry fish, it would have been the greatest compliment today. But at that point in time, I thought, ऐसा क्यों स्वामी? पहली बार बुलाए हो वो भी ड्राई फिश, ऐसे derogatory terms में, मेरा भी तो कोई नाम है, नाम से बुला लेते. तो जैसे ही मैंने ये सोचा, स्वामी ने मुझे देखा, परवाह नहीं, he said. Fish is better than selfish, he said. Now this was the second lesson I learned from Bhagwan. These were all initiations, mind you. Introductory, seemingly introduction, but initiation. तो मैंने कहा कि स्वामी स्वामी ने कहा, अच्छा गाता है तो तुमको झूला में गाने का मौका देता है. आई डिडंट नो व्हाट वाज झूला सिंगिंग. जैसे ही स्वामी ने कहा ये झूला में गाने का मौका देता है, आई थॉट इट मस्ट बी सम ग्रेट ओकेजन डेफिनेटली. देन स्वामी सेड, किधर से आया है? दिस इज वन क्वेश्चन ऑल ऑफ अस वी हैव आंसर्ड स्वामी, राइट और नो? एक इंसान डेनमार्क से आया था, वहाँ दर्शन में बैठा हुआ था, हम लोग एकदम ईयर शॉट में थे, और उसने पूछा, और स्वामी पूछ रहे थे स्टूडेंट से, प्राइमरी स्कूल के बच्चों से, किधर से आया? और प्राइमरी स्कूल के बच्चे सब एकदम चालाक, सबको मालूम है, स्वामी वी हैव कम फ्रॉम यू. एंड स्वामी वाज टेलिंग वेरी हैप्पी, वेरी हैप्पी. देन स्वामी लुक्ड एट दिस Danish gentleman and Swami said, where are you from, sir? And he said, Swami, from you. Swami said, wrong answer, Donna Pota. You are from Denmark. So, and then he said, Swami, how did you know I am from Denmark? स्वामी तो सब कुछ जानते हैं. लेकिन इससे एक लेसन हमें मिली कि as long as you don't have the childlike innocence to say that I am from you, देखा सीखी करके भी कि ये कहने के लिए हम में वो होना चाहिए, that innocence, the childlike innocence, the pristine innocence, or you should have the complete wisdom of that experience of being him. Then you can say I am from you. Otherwise, definitely you are from. One of the students, he said, किधर से आया? He said, Swami, I am from the hostel. Swami said, I know. You are from the hostel. So when Swami asked me, where are you from? I said, Swami, I am from Sikkim. Swami said, Sikkim nahi, seek him, he said. Now that was another big, beautiful initiation. Last time I had a chance to share this here in Goregaon. I shared this experience. Swami said, seek him, not Sikkim. And nobody, anytime in my life, gave me this etymology of Sikkim. Anytime. किसी ने ये नहीं कहा कि सिक्किम नहीं, सीख हिम है. खेल खेल में भगवान इतना सिखा देते थे. तो फिर स्वामी ने कहा, तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? तो मैंने कहा, स्वामी सोनाम है. स्वामी से, सोनाम का मीनिंग क्या होता है? Swami would ask this to every student invariably. Meaning क्या होता है? You should at least know the meaning of your name. Then you will start valuing yourself, because your name is given to you by parents, keeping in mind that you will grow into that name. So जब मुझसे पूछा गया स्वामी, मैंने कहा स्वामी सोनाम का अर्थ होता है, in Tibetan, it's a Tibetan name. So I said Sunam Gyamtso, it means ocean of good deeds, good karma. Swami said, nahi, wrong answer. Sunam is meaningless. तुम्हारा नाम होना चाहिए सुनाम, मीन्स गुड नेम. तो मैंने कहा यस स्वामी. तो तब से मेरा नाम SO से SUNAM बन गया. छुट्टियों में घर जाके एफिडेविट करके नाम भी चेंज कर दिया. नाम चेंज करके जब आए, दैट वाज 2 years आफ्टर दिस इंसिडेंट. द प्रसंग, इसी प्रसंग में I shouldn't forget. You know, when 2 years, till 2 years, I didn't go home at all. Nobody wanted to go home. And we had to be bundled into buses. स्वामी ने कहा इन लोगों को घर भेज दो, घर नहीं जा रहे हैं ये लोग. And their parents are blaming me for that. Swami is such a big attraction, who wants to go home? And then we were forced inside buses. And then it was a very crying moment for all the students were crying when we went home. And that was the time, after second year pre-university, just getting into the first year degree course. Those promises were there, but we didn't know whether we would get admission. हम लोग घर गए, और आई स्टिल रिमेंबर घर जाने का वो वीरा वेदना ऐसा था. हम लोग जो ट्रेन व्हाइटफील्ड से बेंगलोर में जाके ट्रेन में बैठे, और ट्रेन व्हाइटफील्ड से होके जब गुजर रहा था, वो ट्रेन रुकता नहीं था वहाँ पर. और रेलवे स्टेशन में इतने सारे स्टूडेंट्स हजारों तरफ के खाद्य वस्तु, ईटेबल्स लेके और आइसक्रीम, ये सारे चीज़ें लेकर, they were waiting. Their turn would be the next day to leave Vrindavan. But they were waiting for us to see us off on the railway station. And when the train just slowed down a bit, they threw the packets inside the compartment. And I still remember one packet burst out And the ice cream went and plopped on top of a baby. A mother was holding a baby. उसके चेहरे पर वो आइसक्रीम, और वो बेबी आराम से वो आइसक्रीम खाने लगा. और हम सब लोग दरवाजे के सामने वेव करके रो रहे थे. इस तरह से हम घर गए. और घर पहुंचने के बाद घर में रहने का दिल नहीं होता था. किसी तरह आफ्टर 20 days we were back to Vrindavan, and the first thing that happened in my life, स्वामी ने कहा नाम चेंज किया. तो मैंने कहा स्वामी कर दिया स्वामी, लीगली कर दिया स्वामी नाम चेंज. फिर स्वामी ने कहा नाम चेंज करने से कुछ नहीं होता है. He said, now you have to live up to your name. It's a very big responsibility to live up to your name. That's what Swami said. So what happened was, into my first year degree, some brother was telling Karuna Sindhu Dashrath Nanda, Jai Shri Ganesha Vigna Nasha is definitely not composed through me. It was composed through a great composer named Kalyan Chaudhary ji. He composed a whole series of 24 bhajans, 24 names of gods and goddesses woven together in 24 ragas. So it was a huge composition, Raga Malika, and this happened to be the tip of the iceberg, the Ganesh part. So I had just learned the Ganesh Bhajan, brought it to Vrindavan, and I had the privilege to introduce the bhajan. But it's not that I composed it. But ultimately, when we, at a later stage in life, when we went to Swami, and Swami said, कोई नया composition है ये वो, Swami जब पूछ रहे थे, तो किसी ने कहा स्वामी सुनाम ने compose किया है. Swami looked at me and said, compose किया या decompose किया? तुम लोग decompose करते हो, compose नहीं करते हो, Swami said. है भी सही बात. तो मैंने सोचा फ्लूक चांस में एक भजन कंपोजिशन हो गया. That was करुणा सिंधु दशरथ नंदन प्रतिपुरीश्वर जो ब्रदर कह रहे थे. तो वो भजन स्वामी के चरणों में शाम को, we used to have the Vrindavan beautiful sessions, and that tradition continues even till this day. And later on it was called Treyi session, but it was the same session with the master. And Vrindavan session used to be very, very extremely informal. There used to be a vestibule, and then a chair placed there, and the chair took the shape of a throne because the master would sit on it. It was just a swivel chair, but then it was the holiest of chairs on earth, and Swami used to sit there. Or andar ki taraf used to be a janana khana, where ladies used to sit, and a huge curtain had to be drawn to unveil the ladies section. Otherwise they would be sitting behind the veil, veiled by the curtain. And Swami would invariably make fun of, pick on one of the persons whose wife also would be sitting there. Hey, jao, window ko, curtain ko open karo, tumhara pyar wahan baiti hai, Swami used to say. And almost every day it used to be such an informal session. On the gent side there used to be the trust members and big people. And then we used to sing bhajan. Swami used to sit on the swivel chair. And then he used to do the miracle of the talam, which we saw so beautifully, so fresh today. And Swami used to play the talam, and the talam would be the ultimate signature of the starting of a bhajan session and the closure of the bhajan session also. The moment he would rest the talam on the arm of the chair, that would signature the closure of the session. This is the last song. Later on, then Swami would push the footstool inside, and that also would be another signature that today's session is over. So, we used to have those beautiful sessions. So, Karuna Sindhu Dashrath Nandan, Swami पहली बार इंट्रोड्यूस करने की कोशिश किया, हम लोगों ने गाया. तो स्वामी ने पूछा कौन कंपोज किया? तो सबने मेरी तरफ दिखाया. तो स्वामी ने तू कंपोज किया? बहुत अच्छा है, वेरी सीरियसली, बहुत अच्छा है. झूला में गाने का चांस देता है. अगेन ही सेड, ऑलरेडी 1 साल गुजर गया था और 1 साल के अंदर और किसी ने गाया था झूला में, मुझे तो चांस मिला ही नहीं था. तो मैंने उस दिन उठ के स्वामी से कहा, स्वामी आपने बोला था पहले भी झूला में गाने का मौका देंगे, वो मौका तो नहीं मिला. आई एंडेड अप प्लेइंग अकॉर्डियन फॉर राम कथा. Rupak Chankutiji and Hirog, they were singing Ramakatha. And then I had to, it was such a tedious, such a huge onus on you when you don't have any instruments at all in sight. And then you have only the accordion and you are completely new to that small keyboard. And उसके ऊपर सारा ही म्यूजिक बजाना पड़ता था. एक रॉन्ग नोट बजा लिया तो गया काम से. तो देख देख के ऐसे करके बजाना पड़ता था. It used to be, I used to be very full of tension, completely tensed up during even the rehearsals. और उसी टेंशन में सारा राम कथा बाय हार्ट हो गया, सारा म्यूजिक बाय हार्ट हो गया. And later on people like Arunesh, they would have picked up the whole Ram Katha and Sai Katha. Through songs, Swami was training us. तो मैंने स्वामी से कहा, स्वामी आपने पिछली साल भी कहा था गाने देंगे झूला में, क्योंकि by the time I had understood what is झूला. Jhula is an occasion which is the most sought after occasion in Prashanti Nilayam, in our life. And the greatest of the great, they come and sing during Jhula. So उसमें गाने का मौका मिल जाए. And imagine my temerity to tell Swami ने आपने last year बोला था मौका देंगे. स्वामी ने कहा कि अंदर का झूला झुलाया है, he asked me. Now that was another big moment in my life. मैंने कहा कि कौन सा अंदर का झूला? स्वामी ने कहा तुम्हारा हृदय का झूला. हृदय, स्वामी वर्ड से हृदय का झूला रेडी किया है, झुलाया है. मैंने कहा कि नहीं स्वामी, फिर बाहर का कैसे झुलाएगा, ऐसे मौका नहीं है तुमको. अभी अंदर का झूला झुलाओ, देखो, फिर बाहर का मौका देता है स्वामी से. सो उसके बाद जस्ट अगेन फास्ट फॉरवर्ड बैकवर्ड करता रहूँगा मैं. जो मेरी दिमाग में आता है, कुछ नोट्स मैंने बनाया था कि ये मैं ना भूलूं, लेकिन ये कोई काम का नहीं है. तो जब प्रसंग आती है मैं सोचता हूँ कि लेट मी फ्लो विद द प्रसंग. एक मौका आया था 60th बर्थडे में. हम सब लोग 60th बर्थडे में थे. इट वॉज अ गाला मोमेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट मोमेंट्स in the life of a Sai student, when Swami had reserved all the 3 days of the celebration for the students. 21st, 22nd, 23rd. ड्रामा भी हम लोग कर रहे थे, गाना भी हम लोग गा रहे थे, नाच भी हम लोग, नृत्य भी हम लोग ही कर रहे थे. सारे कुछ स्वामी ने कहा. And Swami would remind us time and again, देखो MS सुब्बलक्ष्मी is waiting for a chance. लता मंगेशकर भी चांस के लिए वेट कर रही है. हम नहीं दे रहा है, तुम लोगों को दे रहा है चांस. So don't miss this opportunity, don't miss this chance. To make us understand, so stupid we were, that इतना कहने के बाद भी वो फिर अगेन एंड अगेन रिमाइंड करना पड़ता था कि इससे अनमोल मौका है ये स्वामी के चरणों में गाने का. तो तब की बात है, 60th birthday. By that time, we had graduated out of those moments when Swami used to tell us, घर जाओ भजन सीख के आ जाओ. There was a moment like that also. हम लोग घर जाते थे छुट्टियों में और इन कंपोजर्स से कुछ भजन सीख के आ जाते थे. और स्वामी वुड बी एक्सपेक्टिंग अस टू सिंग दोज न्यू कंपोजिशंस. और ये लोग जो कंपोजर्स होते थे, हुआ करते थे, दे यूज्ड टू वेट फॉर अस टू कम होम एंड लर्न दोज भजन. कहते थे तुम तो संदेश वाहक हो, भजन सीख के जाओगे और पुट्टपर्ती में द भजन गेट्स माई कंपोजिशन विल गेट एन ऑफिशियल स्टैम्प व्हेन स्वामी विल रिकॉग्नाइज द भजन. और वे लोग भी सोचते नहीं थे शायद कि कंपोजर तो स्वामी है और ऑफिशियल स्टैम्प वो क्यों दे अपनी कंपोजिशन पर. इट्स ऑलरेडी स्टैम्प्ड एंड ऑलरेडी प्रूवन दैट इट इज हिज कंपोजिशन एंड वी आर ओनली निमित्त मात्र. तो छुट्टियों में इतने सारे भजन सीख के हम पुट्टपर्ती में गए और इतने सारे नए भजन हम लोगों ने. एंड स्वामी यूज्ड टू से कुछ सीख के आए हो, समटाइम्स लाउडली, समटाइम्स इशारों से स्वामी पूछते थे कुछ सीखे आए हो कि नहीं. और हम लोग कहते थे यस स्वामी कुछ सीखे हैं. और स्वामी कहते थे शाम को गाना. और शाम का ये भजन इंट्रोडक्शन का जो मौका होता था, इट यूज्ड टू बी, आई मस्ट इलाबोरेट ऑन दैट लिटिल बिट बिकॉज सम ऑफ यू वर नॉट देयर इन गोरेगांव व्हेन आई वाज नरेटिंग दिस एक्सपीरियंस. यू नो, वी यूज्ड टू प्रैक्टिस द भजन थ्रू आउट द डे so that in the evening nothing would go amiss, like कुछ गलतियाँ ना हो. और we used to tell अभिनव कुमार उपाध्याय तेरे को तबला बजाना है आज, क्योंकि ठीक ताल ठीक झोंका होना चाहिए. We want the right rhythm and all this used to happen And we used to sing a bhajan and Swami would keep rhythm to it. So when I listen to, some of us when we say sometimes, गलती से ये हम लोग कह बैठते हैं कि Swami was in a blissful raptures listening to our singing. तो मैं immediately अपने दिल ही दिल उसका संशोधन कर लेता हूँ मैं. स्वामी ये नहीं, हम लोग कहना और कुछ चाहते हैं. क्योंकि who are we to give him bliss? Who is the fount of bliss? And who are we to even claim that we are putting him into raptures? When we are into raptures, उनके कारण हम लोग raptures में हैं. I still remember the day जब प्रशांति नीलाय निवासा अरज सुनो मेरे परम कृपालो वी कुमार ने गाया था और स्वामी ने वो सारे हद पार कर दी उस भजन को उठाने के लिए. Not that we had composed something extraordinary or not that we had sung it extraordinary. हम लोग जैसे, हमारे जैसे लोग जिन्होंने कुछ सीखा नहीं है ज़िंदगी में और ऐसे लोग वहाँ बैठ के भजन गा रहे हैं और फिर स्वामी उस भजन को उठाने के लिए ये सब स्वामी ने किया उस दिन, ये भी किया स्वामी ने. यू कैन वेल इमेजिन ऐसे करके जब स्वामी बैठते थे तो सारा जितने भी गुलशन खिल उठती थी बिल्कुल. When Swami would do one ishara, people would be in raptures. That is what was our state. He would put us into raptures by those beautiful, beautiful actions, very aesthetic actions. And he did all of them that day when V. Kumar sang this bhajan. He introduced this bhajan. And the way bhajan used to come into being was again an inspiration from him when he would tell us, तुम लोग भजन कंपोज करो. 60th बर्थडे से तो और जोर से शुरू हुआ. स्वामी वुड से वो कर सकता है. स्वामी वन डे से अनूप जलोटा कंपोज कर सकता है, तू काहे को नहीं कर सकता है? तू भी कर सकता है, चोरी मत करो. डोंट कॉपी somebody's song. Let it be original, let it flow out from you. So we started very seriously thinking about composition. This is how most of the bhajans that came in Prashanti Nilayam, beautiful bhajans that Arunesh composed, beautiful bhajans that Hariharan composed, these compositions came into being, as a result of that protsahan from Swami. When the master himself was telling, you can compose, do it. And then he would give us all the credit. Acha composition hai. So 60th birthday was one time when, I'll just sing this one song, very old 60th birthday song. And the inspiration that came to my mind at that time was to tell Professor Bhagwat Prasad Mishra to write a song that would say, Swami, mere dil ke jhule mein aap baithiye. This bhav should come in the composition. That's what I told him. Because, we had to every day go armed with a composition. And if we didn't have a composition to sing before him, Swami would say, nahi hai, to program cancel kar do. He would say, program cancel kar dete hai, 60th birthday ka. And then we would be so alarmed that we were looking everywhere for some lyrics. And we hardly had lyricists in the hostel. Everybody turned into a lyricist. सब लोग लिखने लग गए, सब लोग कवि बन गए, लेकिन किसी का भी कविता जो है मतलब सुनने लायक, देखने लायक इतना होता नहीं था. अनाड़ी लोग बैठ के लिख रहे हैं. लेकिन there were a few people. So Professor Bhagwat Prasad Mishra, being a very senior kavi, a very beautiful lyricist, Prabhu Hum Pe Daya Karna, Hum Pe Kripa Karna, those old Hari Om Sharan songs were all written by this gentleman. He was a great poet. So I requested him, sir, write a song which says that मेरे दिल के झूले पे आप बैठिए और मेरे दिल के झूले में आप झूलिए. That feel should come. So he wrote a song, and this was a song. आज की रात निराली है, उसे मत पूछो. आज की बात निराली है, उसे मत पूछो. जिस तरह झूल रहे हैं मेरे सरकार यहाँ, दिल के झूले में बिठाओ, वो झूला कर देखो. बोलिए इससे भी प्यारी कोई रात आई है, मेरे बाबा की आज सालगिरह आई है। हर तरफ एक महकी सी फिजा छाई है, जानते हो कि नहीं सालगिरह आई है। हर तरफ एक महकी सी फिजा छाई है, जानते हो कि नहीं सालगिरह आई है। दुनिया वालों सुनो, दुनिया वालों सुनो, मेरे बाबा की आज सालगिरह आई है। हर तरफ एक महकी सी फिजा छाई है, जानते हो कि नहीं सालगिरह आई। This was the song, and we had tuned the song in this way, and we went inside the interview room in the evening. फिर स्वामी ने पूछा कोई कुछ नया है, and every day he made it a point to feed us a type of sweet dish and some saltish thing. And वो खिलाने के बाद स्वामी कहते थे पहले खाओ फिर बात करते हैं। रोज़ खिलाते थे स्वामी। एक दिन तो ऐसा हुआ कि हम लोग जब 9 of us we entered the interview room, there was a type of fragrance permeating everywhere, every corner of the interview room. So we were thinking कि ये मतलब it was a very ethereal type of experience. And then स्वामी, मैं सबसे आगे बैठा हुआ था उनके चरणों के सामने, near his footstool. And then स्वामी sat there and he said हाथ आगे करो. So मैंने एक हाथ आगे किया। स्वामी ने कहा एक ही चाहिए, इतना कम चाहिए, दोनों हाथ आगे करो। तो मैंने दोनों हाथ आगे किया। उन्होंने अपने फिंगर्स को स्क्वीज करना शुरू किया, एंड आउट ऑफ हिज फिंगर टिप्स गर्मा गर्म बूंदियाँ टपकने लगे और सारा हाथ भर दिया, और इतना गर्म, इट वॉज सिजलिंग हॉट माइंड यू। एंड देन पूरा भरने के बाद स्वामी ने गेव अस अ हैंडफुल टू ईच वन ऑफ अस, 9 of us। स्वामी ने कहा कि खाओ। तो हम लोग खा के, मैंने आई थॉट आई वुड टेक अ लिटिल बिट टू फॉर माई ग्रैंड मदर, सो आई टुक आउट माई हैंकरचीफ वेरी कन्वीनियंटली टू पैक इट। स्वामी ने कहा हे इधर ही खाओ, उधर नहीं ले जाना है, तुम्हारे लिए है। So we all ate that. So that was the mahal. That was these were the surprises that Swami would spring in the interview room. And all that, all the time making us feel very important. कि देखो 68th birthday में तुमको गाना है, 68th birthday में तुमको अच्छा compose करना है. He was all the time almost cajoling us, making us even feel that without us there cannot be a 68th birthday. You know, making you feel so big. एम्पावरिंग द हार्ट कहते हैं ना, ये भगवान के सिवा और कोई करता ही नहीं है इस विश्व में। एनकरेजिंग द हार्ट, एम्पावरिंग यू टू दैट एक्सटेंट, मेकिंग यू ऑलमोस्ट फील दैट रिया आई एम ड्राइविंग द होल थिंग। सो उस दिन लेकिन स्वामी वुड पुट अस इन आवर प्लेस वंस इन अ वाइल। तो दिस वॉज वन सॉन्ग जब गाए, स्वामी ने पूछा कोई नया कंपोजिशन है? तो किसी ने कहा स्वामी है, एक कंपोजिशन है, संजीव बड़बड़ा वॉज टू सिंग दिस कंपोजिशन। एंड देन स्वामी ने कहा गाओ, और उसने जैसे ही आज की रात निराली है इतना ही गाया, स्वामी ने स्वामी ने गा लिया। फिर होल धुन स्वामी गा रहे हैं, और फिर स्वामी ने कहा हाँ गाओ गाओ गाओ। फिर हम लोगों ने गाया, और गाने के बाद स्वामी हमसे कह रहे हैं अब बताओ किसने कंपोज किया। ये पहला दिन जब इस श्रृंखला में 3 days we had this experience. The first day was a Telugu song. This I must share with you. You would have seen it on YouTube also. I have shared this elsewhere also because I cannot help but share this. It's a beautiful experience. The song was written by Professor. Later on, he did his PhD from Puttaparthi, my senior, KVSS Prasad Rao. So he wrote this song, Pavalinchu Partisha Patupat Nupu Paina. It was a Telugu song. So I sat with S. Kumar in the morning in the school staff room. And then overlooking us was a picture of Bhagwan taken in the interview room. That was the picture. And then we were looking at the picture and I was telling S. Kumar, tell me the meaning of the song. Tell me the words of the song. Matra ginti kare kaisa hota hai. तो हम लोगों ने गिनती करके देखा, we counted, it was exactly 10 beats. And then I was, right at the time, I was ecstatic. 10 beats is the correct beat for Swami's Jhula. If it is 8 beats, people will swing the Jhula too fast. And later on, it's during 70th birthday, you remember? When Swami's Jhula started, Dainaji was singing, and it was a fast number. And people were tempted to keep pace with the swing, the rhythm of the Jhula, the rhythm of the song. So the Jhula started swinging too fast, very uncomfortable for the Lord to sit there. And then after 5 minutes, he just came down, stepped out of the Jhula. But those days, I remember that, Jhula was a special occasion and people like P. Sushila, all these great singers, they used to come and they used to bring specially composed Jhula songs which were in 7 or 10 beats. Jhaptal mein ya rupak tal mein hota tha, so that the beat would be very gentle, it would swing beautifully, very gently, and then it would be very comfortable for the master. So I was ecstatic when I counted the matras, 10 beats. Then we both sat there, and in 45 minutes flat, during the morning breakfast session, the song was tuned. And that song, little bit of the song, I'll just sing it out to you. It's like this. Pavalinchu partisha patupanu pupaina mudmara munijanola. What is the word? Muri pinchi sola sevu. Is it, am I pronouncing it right? Those who know Telugu here. Muri pinchi sola sevu. Okay. Mud mara muni janola muri pinchi sola sevu kanu janola ko badha karte chihal sevu karte chihal sevu. Sorry, my Telugu is wrong, but this was the song. Pavalinchu partisha. And Swami, when we started singing the song, S. Kumar started singing the song. And Swami started singing the song along with him. Patupanu pupaina mudmara muni janula muripinchi sola sevu kanu janula ku badha karte chihal sevu karte chihal sevu. Then Swami said, during lunch mein background music bhi kiya hai. Gamar ne dhasa. Aisa music kiya hai ki nahi? Swami asked. So we said, yes, Swami. The karo kaisa music hai. Then we did the music. The musicians were also there. We played it on the small Casio. And then Swami said, Malum hai. Background music he composed hua hai. And he had sung it out. Then he said, that was the first day of revelation. When he said, Ab bolo kaun compose kiya hai? Who composed it? Tell me. We were all in tears. There was nobody who was not crying there. We were telling Swami, you have composed it, Swami. So every time he gives you this, and now it is becoming for me more and more potent, this experience of Bhagwan. Even before I left Sikkim for coming here, the smallest of things, the smallest of experiences, the smallest of things that you read somewhere inspires a beautiful bhajan in you. And almost every day you are composing a new bhajan. I have brought some of these bhajans which I feel these are, I could share with you today if time permits. So this being one of the things that I thought I should share with you. But then one thing that I would be doing injustice to this great opportunity given to me, if I don't share the Prashanti Nilayam Mandiram experiences. What used to transpire inside the bhajan hall. From a distance you look at Bhagwan and Swami enters right inside the bhajan hall soon after the interviews. In between the interviews, he would find 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and he wouldn't spare an opportunity to share those moments with the students in the bhajan hall. He would just stand there, sometimes sitting there, sometimes he would sit on the pedestal, sometimes he would stand there and dry his back, which would be drenched in his perspiration because of being inside that interview room, completely jammed with sometimes not less than 50 people, sometimes with 30 people, for almost over an hour, and then exhausted. Humanly, it would be an exhausting experience. He would come and stand there behind the door, and then we would put on the pedestal fan, and the Swami would dry his back, and then Swami would share a few beautiful golden words, golden moments, wisdom-soaked moments with the students. Those one or two of them, I have written them down in huge volumes, because I didn't want to miss them. And then they have come very handy to me today when I read them and I get so much charged. Beautiful opportunities. So one of those opportunities, big moments which happened there. You remember the sadhus came to Puttaparthi? I just want to share this with you. Lot of sadhus had come to Puttaparthi, and they wanted Swami to say that Rama Janam Bhumi is the Rama Mandir should be constructed and Babri Masjid should be demolished. All that they wanted Swami also to endorse their views, So that was the time when a huge group of sadhus had come to Puttaparthi, and Swami told, I still remember I was sitting near the slope, and slope in the sense, slope of the portico in Prashanti Nilayam. And then Swami just stood there and looked at Dr. A.V. Lakshmi Narasimhan, and Swami said, I am going to teach them a lesson today. And then Swami was just waiting for that opportunity to pounce on them and teach them a lesson. Not to, not to hurt them, but to teach them a lesson. So Swami took them inside eventually, and that interview lasted just for half a minute maybe. Hardly any time. Swami just went inside, closed the door, and then Swami created one picture, and Swami showed the picture, and Swami had taken a few people from the university. One such person was Professor Kailash Kumar, who was taken inside to see what would transpire there inside, so that he would come out and tell us. Because Swami by himself, he wouldn't tell us, कि मैंने ऐसा किया है, मैंने वैसा किया है. Swami would never say that. So Swami went inside, and then Swami looked at the leader of this group. And then Swami said, materialized a picture, and virtually almost slapped it on his eyes, for your eyes to see. And जैसे उसने वो पिक्चर देखा, वो बिल्कुल पत्ते की तरह हिलने लगा. फिर स्वामी ने कहा कि सबको दिखा दूं मैं? Should I show it to everyone? And he started pleading, Swami मत कीजिए स्वामी, मत दिखाइए स्वामी. Swami said, तू क्या समझता है? मैं नहीं जानता हूँ. दूसरा भी create कर सकता हूँ मैं. Swami said, of course he didn't do that. But he said, I'll show it to everyone. I'll reveal it to everyone. Then Swami said, Ram Rahim एक ही है. समझने की कोशिश करो. जाओ. And he opened the door and let them out. And once they were let out, I saw most of them were staggering. And one of them, though swagger, everything had vanished. And one of them tried to touch Swami's feet, and Swami looked at the Sevadal and said, Dudam po, isko bahar nikalo. It was so vehement that सब हिल गए, डर गए. और स्वामी भजन हॉल के अंदर आए, और ऐसे ही फिर मासूमियत के साथ स्वामी वहाँ खड़े रहे. फिर स्वामी ने कहा, पता है मैं इन लोगों को मैंने, and Swami was grinning from ear to ear, and Swami said, I have taught them a lesson today. I have taught them a lesson. What do they think? Then all of a sudden, Swami looked at the students and said, वो भी काशाय वस्त्रम पहनता है, मैं भी काशाय वस्त्र पहनता है. क्या difference है? Swami said. They are also wearing ochre robe. I am also wearing the same ochre robe. What is the difference? So one of the students promptly got up and said, Swami, you are God. Swami said, shut up your mouth. Like Swami said, no मुझको. कैसे जानता है Swami God है? अनुभूति है? Swami said. So he said, Swami, अनुभूति तो नहीं है Swami. तो कैसे जानता है? Swami, he said, he came, in his defense he said, Swami आपने कहा है. Swami said, मैं कभी नहीं कहा. I have never said कि I am God. I have always said you are God. And you are not trying to realize it. I have never said Sai Baba is God. I don't need to say that, he said. Then he said the most beautiful thing that is ever etched in my memory. He said, इतना समझो वो स्वामी जी है, मैं स्वामी हूं, he said. See the difference? ये कह के भजन हॉल से स्वामी बाहर निकल गए और हम लोगों को एक सत्य की हालत में ऐसा स्वामी ने छोड़ दिया कि हम सब लोग अवाक बन गए. और भजन कैसा हुआ होगा उस दिन का आप सोच ही नहीं सकते हो. सी स्वामी जी इज एन एपिथेट, इट्स अ टाइटल. मैं भी बन सकता हूँ स्वामी जी आज चाहूँ तो, और कोई जॉब नहीं मिला तो स्वामी जी बन जाओ. लेकिन स्वामी इज वन विदाउट अ सेकेंड, अद्वितीय. जो स्वामी है वो पूजनीय है. एंड स्वामी से मैं स्वामी हूँ. ऐसा एक मौका एक दिन स्वामी ऐसे भजन हॉल के अंदर आ गए और स्वामी कह रहे थे ऐसे ही मुखारबिन से, वहाँ बैठ के घड़ी को देखा स्वामी ने और वो वॉल क्लॉक को स्वामी देखते रहते थे. वॉल क्लॉक को देखा, हाँ अभी थोड़ा टाइम है इन लोगों के साथ, एज दो इट वॉज नेसेसरी फॉर हिम टू लुक एट द वॉल क्लॉक. एंड राइट इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी, राइट आई वॉज देयर ऑन वन ऑफ दोज लेट 80s का अखंड भजन में, when Swami sat there, and this I have to tell you, narrate this in lot of, very elaborately I'll have to narrate this to you. Because that day Swami came, if I'm not mistaken, it was 85 or 86, 1986, Akhand Bhajan. Swami was to start, we were waiting for Swami. Swami came and sat there, and there was still a lot of time. So Swami engaged us in a huge talk on Patanjali Yoga Sutra. And then Swami looked at the watch. I was looking at the wall clock, and it was already 10 minutes past 6. And Swami had also looked at the clock, and हमारी आंखें चार हुई. Or when Swami looked at me and smiled, oh, you are also looking at the clock, फिर Swami didn't bother about the clock. Swami continued. And in Prashant Lamb, it's a wall clock which chimes exactly at the stroke of every hour, it chimes. But that day at 6, it didn't chime. It didn't ring. It didn't strike. And then Swami continued to talk to us. What he spoke to us about, what he told us, that I'll tell you. And what happened, the aftermath of that also, I must narrate it to you. Exactly at around 16 minutes past 6, Swami said, "Haan, bhajan shuru karo." Swami said, very nonchalantly, he got up and walked out, and the clock started striking 6 times. Tong, tong. At 16 minutes past 6, Akhand Bhajan started, and the clock. So I have seen how he is, samay, he is gati, he is everything. So that day, Swami came and sat there, and then Swami looked at the clock, and he said, gati, he said. So we immediately started expecting something very big from Bhagwan. Then Swami said, "Kabhi Bhagavad Gita पढ़ती हो कि नहीं तुम लोग?" तो हम लोग ने, some of us, we said little bit of it here and there, but nobody had read the whole Bhagavad Gita. Nobody was doing it. Then Swami said, "क्या प्रयोजन? गीता नहीं पढ़ता है, गीता वाहिनी पढ़ता है कि नहीं?" So this was the mode of this was the flow of the entire divine injunctions coming from him. So people were hardly into reading. Then Swami said, Bhagavad Gita के chapter 9 में मेरा description लिखा हुआ है. Swami said, Bhagavad Gita के chapter 9 में 18th अध्याय, chapter 9 का 18th श्लोक में मेरा description वहाँ लिखा हुआ है. He said. So needless to say, we went back home. We consulted Bhagavad Gita. And that day's डायरी, मेरे डायरी में इन बोल्ड लेटर्स मैंने लिखा हुआ हूँ उसमें. और द डिस्क्रिप्शन वाज, उस दिन स्वामी ने हम लोगों को फिर समझाया भी था, गतिर भरता प्रभु साक्षी निवासम शरणम सुहृत प्रभव प्रलय स्थानम निधानम बीजम अव्ययम. Swami that day explained this to us, one of those days. And he said, "Jao, read each word of that description and then juxtapose it to Sathya Sai Baba. And if you find the juxtaposition wrong, then something is wrong with you," Swami said. The juxtaposition has to be right. हाँ बिल्कुल स्वामी ऐसा ही है. So स्वामी ने कहा, गति क्या होता है, ये समय को ज़्यादा मत देखो, समय का आभास करो, Swami said. Be aware of the passing of time. Be aware of time. That time is your destination, Swami said that day. I have written it down. Time is your destination. Have you read this anywhere? In any scripture, anywhere? Any Bhasha Tika? Time is your destination. We have read time is a flow. And Swami is telling time is Gati, and Gati is destination, and that is me. Gatir Bharta. Bharta is the one who sustains you. Prabhu is the Lord, Master. Sakshi, he is the witness. Nivasam, he is the abode. Sharanam, he is the refuge. Sudhit, he is your best friend. This one word, Sudhit, recently I was going through this mentally, and this came to my mind, and just one word, Sudhit, and a beautiful composition again started happening. You know, indications come to you, only I have realized now that we have to be ready to receive it any moment. I have to be a ready recipient of this bounty that flows from him. Nivasam Sharanam Sudhit, Prabhava, the place of origin. Pralaya, where it dissolves, dissolution, creation, dissolution. Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam, the place. Nidhanam, the ultimate place where I can stand. Where when I am refused a place everywhere throughout the world, this is one place where definitely I'll get a foothold. Nidhanam, Bijam, he is the Bija. Abhyayam, one who is imperishable. That day Swami told us this, and he said that, compare that to me, because you have read me, you have lived with me throughout. You compare that with me, compare that to me, and feel whether I stand up to, whether it juxtaposes to me, whether it compares with me. And if you find there is any incomparison, then something is wrong with your perspective. That's what Swami said that day. So the other day when we were in the bhajan hall, this beautiful thing about Patanjali Yoga Sutra, I must share this with you. Swami said, who knows Patanjali Yoga Sutra? Who does yogasana? So many hands went up. Swami said, only twisting the body is not yoga. That is only twisting. So then Swami said, yoga is, dexterity in action is yoga. कोई भी कुशाग्रता जो होती है वही योग है. बाकी सब वियोग है, Swami said. Then he said, Patanjali Maharshi ने योग सिखाया था इस तरह से, यम नियम आसन प्राणायाम प्रत्याहार धारण ध्यान समाधि. And then he asked each student, and most of us we failed. Swami said, what are the 5 yamas? So somebody said, Swami, मालूम नहीं है, Swami, अहिंसा. 2-3 स्वामी ने कहा, हाँ, अहिंसा, सत्य, आस्तेय, ब्रह्मचर्य, अपरिग्रह, ये यम होता है. And बहुत कठोर है, it's very difficult to practice this. Unless you have become an adept in yam, you cannot graduate into niyam. According to Patanjali, rules are so stringent. Once you are an adept in yam, then you go into niyam. What are the 5 niyams? Can I ask you? So, like Swami asked us that day. What are the 5 niyams? Please interact also with. What are the 5 niyams? Shaucha, Santosh, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishwar, Pranidhana, Swami said. Shaucha, Santosh, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishwar, Pranidhana. Shuchi, internal, external cleanliness. I don't have time to repeat all that. But Shaucha, Santosh, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishwar, Pranidhana. These are the 5 niyams. Then you graduate into asana. Now you can twist your body. And twisting the body is to perfect yourself physically. Asana. Then you go into pranayam. Now you start regulating the breath, because from the gross you go into the subtle. And then you start regulating the subtle breath, pancha prana. So that is pranayam. Prana sangyam is pranayam, Swami said. Then you get into pratyahara. Now the next stage of evolution is, now you can withdraw yourself from the world of sensory stimuli. You can withdraw yourself. So that is pratyahara. Swami said pratyahara is prati ahara. Alternative ahar. Alternative food is pratyahara. So you have to feed the senses things that are not external now anymore. You have to internalize everything. Dharana, contemplation. Dhyana, concentration. Samadhi, meditation, Swami said. I have never heard, I also read quite a bit, but I haven't read this beautiful description of dharana, dhyana, samadhi anywhere, as contemplation, concentration and meditation anywhere. And Swami has said this so many times as asti bhati priyam, and you know it very well. Now what happened that day was, Swami said, now let me tell you, I have made things very easy for you. Each one of you, if you sing a bhajan properly, you are a yogi. You have already passed through all these stages of evolution, yogic evolution, and reached the stage of samadhi. If bhajan doesn't confer samadhi to you, your singing is not bhajan singing at all, Swami said. Your bhajan is bhajan singing only if it confers that inner peace, inner tranquility to you. That's what Swami said. Then we asked Swami, Swami, how can we become yogis, Swami? Kaise yogi ban sakte hain, Swami? Swami said, योगी बनना बहुत इजी है, भोगी मत बनो, योगी बन जाओगे. और योगी बनने का ये तरीका है, वो भजन ठीक से गाओ, Swami said. And then he explained, when you sing that bhajan properly, in the span of just one bhajan, what happens to you? You are already cleansed because you come with internal and external cleanliness. You come armed with the internal and external disciplines. बाहर और भीतर का जो डिसिप्लिन होती है उसे प्रैक्टिस करके ही तुम भजन में आओगे. भजन में कोई भी झगड़ा करने के लिए नहीं आते हैं. You come already with a mindset of a yogi. So Swami said that is yam and niyam already practiced. Asan, because when you sit for bhajan, you have to sit with your spine straight. That is the best asan. The sukha asan is the best asan. What facilitates the upper flow of your energy is the best asana, Swami said. So when you sit for bhajan, you never sit in a crooked position and sing bhajan because you can't sing at all. So bhajan inspires you to sit straight. So bhajan inspires asana also in you. Then pranayam, singing is the best pranayam, he said. There cannot be a better regulation of breath than singing. Swami said, otherwise people who are asthmatic, who are phlegmatic, who cannot breathe, who have a problem with a respiratory system, even when they sing, they get well, Swami said. So breathing is the best pranayam, singing is the best pranayam. And that too, if it is devotional singing, is the best of pranayams. Pratyahara, when you are singing, you are concentrating wholly on the Lord. You have withdrawn yourself from the external world. If you haven't, then your bhajan is definitely will have a flaw in it, in its expression. If you have withdrawn yourself from the world of external stimuli, and if you are contemplating on the form, on the karuna of the Master, of the Lord, of whom you are singing, then alone your bhajan will have that bhava. So Swami said, pratyahara is already practiced. Dharana, already you are doing dharana. You are the most, that is discrimination. Dhyana and samadhi. Dharana, dhyan, samadhi becomes automatic when you are singing a bhajan properly. Then Swami said, within the span of one bhajan, which hardly lasts 2 to 3 minutes, if you can become a yogi, why don't you try it out properly? Sit properly in a proper position. How you sing, the dexterity in your technicalities of singing, that's not important. This discipline is important, Swami said. So this is how, this I would definitely say, one of the greatest things that was happening in Prashanti Nilayam. The informal way, the informal schooling that was going on all the time in the ashram. And then formally it used to happen, seen by everyone. One day I was sitting there for bhajan and it was about to pour down. And really it started pouring down. And you know, when it rains in Puttaparthi, it's one of the liveliest, one of the most beautiful things happening. Because it hardly rains in Puttaparthi. And those days, there used to be arches right at the back of the compound. Kulwant Hall was not there. And then when it started raining, most of the people, they started getting inside those arches, to save themselves from the rain. And some of the valiant ones, some of the foreigners, some of our valiant Indians, they all were seated right out there in the rain and enjoying the downpour. And right at the time, yesterday, Akka was telling me, Arundhati Akka was telling me that it was one of those occasions when it was raining like that, when Swami walked out to give darshan, and the rain was still, the rain was flowing, the rainwater was flowing on the slopes. And right at the time when Swami was walking into the water and splashing himself into the water, she scooped up a handful of that water to drink, because it is water touched by the Lord's lotus feet. And when she tried to do that, Swami looked at her and said, "Pagal hai kya?" And she felt that definitely it's a pagalpan. But I saw that day this extraordinary pagalpan. I was sitting right at the end of the slope of the portico. There was a newcomer, a neophyte, who was not very much into it. It was his introductory day, could be, because he was making all sorts of noises, all sorts of remarks. And he was telling, his friend was telling him, and I was at earshot, so I was listening to the whole dialogue, So he was telling, "Aaj buddhe nahi aayenge." Because it was raining. "Aaj buddhe nahi aayenge." तो दूसरे ने कहा कि क्यों रे, ऐसा क्यों कहते हो? नहीं, बारिश हो रही है ना, बारिश हो रहा है, वो कैसे आएंगे? बारिश थमने के बाद वो आएंगे बाहर और लोग कहेंगे उनकी कृपा से बारिश थम गई। यही होने वाला, देखना। एंड जैसे ही ये कह रहा था, राइट एट द टाइम दरवाजा फटाक से खुल के स्वामी बाहर निकल आए, और बारिश तो बिल्कुल थमने का नाम ही नहीं ले रहा था। ऐसा बारिश ताबड़तोड़ हो रहा था। और वेद नारायण एज यूजुअल हाथ में सैंडल और एक अम्ब्रेला लेके, लड़के ऐसे सजग रहते हैं, ऐसे सचेत रहते हैं प्रशांति निलयम में, क्योंकि ये मौका ना चुके। वो दौड़ के स्वामी की तरफ वो दौड़ पड़ा वो स्वामी के चरणों में वो सैंडल डालने के लिए। स्वामी ने उसे हटा दिया। स्वामी ने कहा कि नहीं चाहिए, मेरे को सैंडल भी नहीं चाहिए, वो छतरी भी नहीं चाहिए। और स्वामी ऐसे ही बारिश में निकल गए। और मेरे लिए तो, मेरे सामने ये सारा चीज़ हो रहा था, उन दो बंदों के लिए स्वामी ये सब कर रहे थे। और स्वामी ऐसे बारिश में निकल गए और पूर्ण दर्शन देखे। और जैसे स्वामी निकले, वो देखने लायक वहाँ का सीन था। सारे डिवोटीज अपने अपने वो जो जहाँ पर वो गोवर्धन गिरी के नीचे बैठे हुए थे, सब वहाँ से बाहर निकल के आ गए। और फिर देयर वाज अ होल स्प्लैशिंग अराउंड एंड पीपल स्टार्टेड मेकिंग प्लेस, बिकॉज स्वामी वाज वॉकिंग देयर गिविंग दर्शन। Mindless of the rain, they were finding a place there. Swami gave a full darshan on the ladies' side, and only when he reached the gents' side, it occurred to me that Swami was completely spotless. He was not at all wet. एक बूंद पानी उनके शरीर पर लगा ही जैसे नहीं था। और ऐसे जेंट्स की तरफ दर्शन देते हुए स्वामी पीछे से आ गए। और फिर वो एल में स्वामी ऐसे जब आ गए, वो और ऊपर चढ़ के वो जो एंड विस्फारित नेत्रों से वो दोनों मनुष्य देख रहे थे, हम सब देख रहे थे ये लीला महिमा। और स्वामी वहाँ खड़े थे। सेव दिस पार्ट ऑफ हिज बैक, द टॉप पार्ट ऑफ हिज, द लोअर पार्ट ऑफ हिज नेक, little bit it was drenched. Apart from that, there was no trace of raindrops, water on his body anywhere, any place. And then like a lion, he तिरछी नज़रों से उनको देखते हुए, दोनों को देखते हुए, स्वामी ने ऐसा करके अपने हेड को शेक किया स्वामी ने। और जैसे ये किया, जैसे कि एक शेर करते हैं ना, दहाड़ मार के शेर अपने सर को हिलाते हैं, ऐसे जब स्वामी ने हिलाया जैसे हाथी अपने सर को हिलाते हैं। और उस वक्त 2-3 बूंदें उनकी लटों से ऐसे मतलब वहाँ से छिटक कर हमारे ऊपर गिर पड़े। एक आके सीधा मेरे होंठ पर गिर पड़े। तो आई जस्ट सक्ड इट इमीडिएटली, अमृत मिल गया मेरे को। और फिर स्वामी ऐसे करते हुए अंदर चले गए। सो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट हैपन इन प्रशांति निलयम आर those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. When we were doing Jesus of Nazareth drama, Swami said it so many times. 5 minutes और है। स्वामी इतने बार स्वामी ने कहा, स्वामी used to correct us Every drama done in Prasanthi Nilayam was to drive home a point, to teach us something. कुछ न कुछ सिखाने के लिए स्वामी करते थे. लेकिन स्वामी ऐसे शरीक होते थे उस ड्रामे में जैसे कि उनके लिए वो इतना मायने रखते हो जैसे. और स्वामी यूज्ड टू ऑलमोस्ट प्लीड एंड टेल, अच्छा करना, किरदार अच्छा निभाना. ऐसा भी हुआ कि मेरे को ज़िंदगी में एक ही बार ड्रामा में शरीक होने का मौका मिला. ड्रामा का नाम था, टाइटल था, शीर्षक था हियर एंड देयर. हियर एंड देयर. सो द डिफरेंस बिटवीन हियर इन दैट इज पुट्टपर्ती एंड देयर विच इज़ आउटसाइड वर्ल्ड. वो एक इट वॉज अ पुराना थीम. तो उस थीम में ड्रामा बना हुआ था. तो देयर में सारे गुंडे होते हैं, हियर में सारे संत लोग होते हैं. ये दिखाना था. यहाँ क्यों संत होते हैं? क्योंकि वो माहौल ही संतों का है. और वहाँ ऐसा क्यों होता है? क्योंकि वहाँ का माहौल बिगड़ा हुआ है. तो जब वहाँ जाते हैं, वहाँ एक साई स्टूडेंट घर जाते हैं और वहाँ ऐसे ही लोगों से, ऐसे माहौल में पलने वाले 2-3 लोगों से मिल जाते हैं और वो कहते हैं कि वो तो भगवान नहीं है, उसको बिगाड़ने की कोशिश करते हैं. तो उन गुंडों में एक मैं भी था, एक किरदार मुझे भी मिला था. तो ऐसे तो आई एम अ वेरी बैड एक्टर. ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट वो आई डिडंट वांट टू मिस द चांस, सो आई गॉट इनटू इट. रिहर्सल हुआ, स्वामी आए और स्वामी ने सबसे पहले देखा. और जब मैंने एक्टिंग शुरू किया, सबसे स्वामी ने कहा, ऐसे करके स्वामी ने मुझे देखा और कहा, अभी तू भी राउडी बन गए हो? तो मैंने कहा, स्वामी नाटक है, स्वामी नाटक. मालूम है नाटक है, आज नाटक है, कल सत्य हो जाएगा. ऐसा काहे को निभाता है? इवन इन अ ड्रामा, इवन अ नेगेटिव रोल इन अ ड्रामा वॉज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल टू हिम. ही वुड टेल अस, अच्छा नहीं है. एंड एज through the length of that particular scene, Swami would close his eyes and Swami would make a face, he would grimace, and then Swami would say, ऐसा काहे को होता है, very bad. That was the Sat that Swami embodied every moment. Not even a trace of it would be tolerable to him. So मैंने क्या किया, मैंने वो ड्रामा से मैंने विदा ले लिया ऐसे तो. And it was a very big relief. So next day when Swami came for rehearsal, the next time when Swami came for rehearsal, and those rehearsals used to be almost every day. Swami would come to the institute. After morning bhajan, he would be there. I was seated near the throne. Swami said, hey, तुम्हारा नहीं है उधर? तो मैंने कहा कि स्वामी नहीं है. स्वामी, बहुत खुशी, he said. But without those negative roles also, how could there be a drama? So we were doing this Jesus of Nazareth drama, and so many dialogues he dictated so many dialogues. Like there was a scene where, Jesus approaches Peter and his brother. And then he says, who are you? And they say, we are fishermen. Swami says, stop right there. You must write, add a dialogue. You are a fisherman, I am the fisher of men. Write it down there. So these were all, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, these are all additions from Bhagwan. Or a new Bible created by Bhagwan by itself, but so beautifully meaningful. तो ऐसे बहुत सारे पुट्टपर्ती में हुआ करते थे. भजन के बारे में एक दो बात बताऊं, या एक दो भजन आपको गा के सुनाऊं. कोई भजन है जो आप चाहते हैं कि मैं गाऊं? नहीं चाहते हैं तो नहीं गाएंगे. ऐसा, हाँ जी, ऐसा हुआ कि ये प्रोफेसर भगवत प्रसाद मिश्रा, इनके बारे में मैंने 2-3 जगह में सुनाया हूँ. आपको भी मैं सुनाना चाहता हूँ. ऐसा हुआ भगवत प्रसाद मिश्रा जी का कि स्वामी अचानक उनसे बात करना, उनके साथ वार्तालाप करना स्वामी ने बंद कर दिया. और जैसे ये हुआ, असत्य होता है, आपको मालूम ही है, जब स्वामी बात नहीं करते हैं, नज़रअंदाज करते हैं, तो यू कान, मृत्यु दंड जैसा हो जाता है. तो इनके साथ 3 साल तक हुआ ये. वहीं यूनिवर्सिटी में प्राध्यापक हैं और हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ इंग्लिश हैं, लेकिन उनके साथ स्वामी कभी बात करते ही नहीं. और every day of that time, of those 3 years, he wrote a song. Every day, Swami not looking at him, Swami's ignoring him, was an inspiration for him to write a song. So songs like many songs. One song I'll just sing just for an instance. ऐसा हुआ कि उनका घर जाने का अंतिम दिन आ गया था. तो मैंने, आफ्टर भजन, ही यूज्ड टू वेट और ही यूज्ड टू कैच मी. और मुझे पकड़ के कहता था, बेटा आज नया गाना लिखा. एवरी डे यूज्ड टू राइट समथिंग न्यू. और देन ही हैड टू कैच मी एंड टेल मी द सॉन्ग. ही वांटेड एन ऑडियंस, दैट्स व्हाट आई थॉट. एंड देन आई यूज्ड टू बी द स्केपगोट सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग. तो वो मुझे सुनाते थे और देन ही वुड टेल मी द मीनिंग. बेटा इसका अर्थ ये होता है. ऑल उर्दू में होता था. मोस्ट ऑफ द उर्दू वर्ड्स ही वुड टेल मी द मीनिंग. अब सीखने के बजाय मैं सोचता था कि दिस इज़ अ ट्रांसक्रिप्शन इनटू माय टाइम, क्योंकि शाम को इनवेरिएबली यू वुड मिस द डिनर उनके साथ बैठ के. तो मैंने उनको मैंने भी नज़रअंदाज करना शुरू कर दिया. तो जब ये हुआ तो उस दिन उन्होंने मुझे पकड़ लिया भजन के बाद. बेटा आज तुम मुझसे बच के नहीं जा सकते हो, आज तेरे को ये गाना सुनाना ही है. तो मैंने कहा कि ऐसा क्या है सर, मैं भागता तो नहीं हूँ वैसे. नहीं, मुझे मालूम है तुम भागते हो, लेकिन आज कल के बाद भागने की ज़रूरत नहीं. मैं कल से जा रहा हूँ, मैं ये जगह छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ, फिर तुम मुझे मिलोगे नहीं और मैं तुम्हें मिलूँगा नहीं. तो इसलिए आज सुन लेना. आज मैं दर्शन में बैठा था और दर्शन में जैसे ही बैठा था, स्वामी मेरी तरफ मुखातिब होके स्वामी ने मुझे ऐसे इशारे से उठाया. तो मैं जब उठा तो ऐसा लगा कि मुझे लगा कि स्वामी मुझसे बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इट टर्न आउट दैट स्वामी वाज टॉकिंग टू द पर्सन सिटिंग बिहाइंड हिम. मेरे पीछे जो बैठा था स्वामी तो उससे बात कर रहे थे. तो मुझे बहुत बुरा लगा. मैंने सोचा स्वामी आज कल तो मैं जा रहा हूँ और आज भी आप मेरे साथ ये आँख मिचौनी कर रहे हो, आज भी आप मेरे साथ ये करते क्यों हो ये सब. तो मैंने इमीडिएटली ही सेड, मैंने एक गाना उन्होंने दिया, मैंने लिख दिया. और गाना लिखने के बाद मुझे वो संतृप्ति मिली जो सोच ही नहीं सकते हैं. तुमको मैं बताता हूँ. एंड ही गेव मी द सॉन्ग एंड आई ट्यून द सॉन्ग मच 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 लेटर. इट वॉज देयर लिकिंग डस्ट इन माई हाउस. And then one day, one of those days when I was also feeling completely lonely and forlorn and, left out. Sometimes you feel like that. Sometimes you don't feel anything. इतनी चुलबुली है ये हृदय, ये जो मन जो है ना. तो एक दिन मुझे ऐसा जब लगा तो मैंने देखा वो गाने का किताब मेरे को मिल गया. तो उसके अंदर से उनका अपने हाथ से लिखा होगा वो गाना मेरे को मिल गया. तो आई जस्ट ट्यून्ड इट अप ओनली. दादरा में है. गानों का शब्द ऐसा है, ज़रूर आँख ने मेरे मुझको भरमाया है, ऐसा क्यों लगता है कि तूने मुझे बुलाया है, पर ये नहीं मेरी ही शिकायत हो ऐसी बात नहीं, हर एक समझता है कि तूने उसे बुलाया है. दिस द सॉन्ग. ज़रूर आँख ने मेरे मुझे. दिस इज अ डी शार्प. वी हैव अ डी शार्प. आई एम साउंडिंग टोटली आउट ऑफ स्केल. ज़रूर आँख ने मेरे मुझे भरमाया है, ज़रूर आँख ने मेरे मुझे भरमाया है, ऐसा क्यों लगता है तूने मुझे बुलाया है, ऐसा क्यों लगता है तूने मुझे बुलाया है, पर ये मेरी शिकायत हो ऐसी बात नहीं, पर ये मेरी शिकायत हो ऐसी बात नहीं, हर एक समझता है कि तूने उसे बुलाया है, ज़रूर आँख ने. गलत है कौन मेरी आँख या नजर तेरी, गलत है कौन, मेरी आँख या नजर तेरी, कि जिसने हमसे सही राज ये छुपाया है, कि जिसने हमसे सही राज ये छुपाया है, कि जिसने हमसे सही राज ये छुपाया है। ऐसा क्यों लगता है तूने मुझे बुलाया है, जरूर आँख ने। This bhajan, Ayodhya Shiromani was sung today. Who sang it? Who sang it? Sometimes I feel one note also makes a world of a difference. And that is what Swami made me understand when I had learned this bhajan, Antarjot Jagao Sai. I must share this with you. I introduced it in Puttaparthi, but Swami was going out, giving darshan outside. I was feeling very much left out because when I was introducing this bhajan, I had wanted Swami to be on the chair. The moment I sang, Shiva Shakti Mai Kripa Karo, this is how I sung. And Swami just post haste, like Swami ran inside the bhajan hall and stopped the whole bhajan. And then Swami said, "Aisa kai ko gata hai?" It's just a dialogue going on between Swami and me, and I am just shaking, completely shaken. I thought this is the last day I am singing bhajan or living in Puttaparthi. Swami ने कहा, "ऐसा नोट ऋषभ कोमल काय को गाता है?" He said. Then मैंने कहा, "Swami उससे ऐसा ही सीखा है Swami." Because I had learned from Devnath Mukherjee this way. He had taught me, "Kripa karo." This is how I had learned. So मैंने कहा, "Swami मैंने ऐसा ही सीखा है." स्वामी ने इमीडिएटली कहा, उसको ऐसा नहीं सिखाया मैंने. देन स्वामी सेड, ऋषभ शुद्ध करके गाओ, यमन कल्याण है, यमन है, ऋषभ शुद्ध गाना है. तो ऐसा अयोध्या शिरोमणि में, it was 1986 during Ramanavami, and there was a constant pressure on those boys who were composing bhajans from the others who were not composing but singing. They wanted bhajans they wanted to learn new bhajans to sing before Swami. So this is how many bhajans we used to compose, keeping in mind the style, the bhajan singing style of each singer. Each singer had his own definitive style. So S. Kumar के लिए एक भजन होता था, V. Kumar के लिए अलग भजन होता था, अपने अपने स्टाइल में. तो ये भजन जो मैंने कंपोज किया था, ये अयोध्या शिरोमणि, और नेक्स्ट डे भजन गाया गया. लेकिन भजन गाने से पहले स्वामी ने, I was sitting there trying to go inside, and you wait for that opportunity because Swami is already inside the bhajan hall and you don't go right in the front, barging into the front. So when Swami comes out, when he is on the threshold, then you just go inside and sit because another 2 minutes bhajan will start. So that was the scenario. Swami looked at me and said, "Saketa Ranjana, naya word mila tumko?" I had not told this bhajan to anyone. And after Swami, Raja Reddy Garu was the second person when I had recorded the bhajan here in Bombay for Atmanivedan. And I went to Raja Reddy Garu's house and I sang this bhajan to him. And he said, Saketa Ranjan, a new word. एक नया epithet, एक नया शब्द मिला है. लेकिन उस दिन स्वामी ने जो कहा वो कभी भूलेंगे नहीं. स्वामी ने कहा, साकेत का मीनिंग है क्या है बताओ, मेरे को अंदर जाना है भजन के लिए. स्वामी कह रहे थे, साकेत का मीनिंग क्या है बताओ. तो मेरे को ही मालूम नहीं था मीनिंग. मैंने साकेत सार्वभौमा से राम कथा से उठा लिया था. फिर स्वामी ने कहा, जो बाहर है वो अयोध्या है, जो हृदय के अंदर है वो साकेत है. स्वामी ने कहा, और साकेत वो होता है विच इज द कैपिटल ऑफ अयोध्या, इट इज द हार्ट ऑफ अयोध्या विच इज साकेत. सो इट्स गुड टू शेयर दिस नोट when you are singing next. But साकेत रंजन कैवल्य धाम, साकेत रंजन कैवल्य धाम, अयोध्या शिरोमणि दशरथ राम। नीरज लोचन साई नारायण, बंध विमोचन भक्त परायण। प्राण सखा मेरे प्रभु साई राम, साकेत रंजन कैवल्य धाम। So these thoughts are very important, these notes are very important. ये भजन भी जो है, अर्ज सुनो मेरे, every time generations of bhajan students, bhajan singers, I keep telling them in Puttavarthi, अर्ज सुनो, ऐसा नहीं सा ग ध प, ऐसा नहीं ग प ध प, ये नहीं ग प नि ध, एक फील है, ये आपको एक उठान दे देता है ये, it gives you a buoyancy. अर्ज सुनो मेरे परम कृपालु. And there is one more thing that I need to tell you about this bhajan, Saketa Ranjan Kaivalya Dhama. He composed a beautiful bhajan, and it's one of the most Prema Swarupini Janani Ma Charana Namostute Sai Ma Charana Namostute Sai Ma. This beautiful composition, it was ढांचा एक ही लगता है कि नहीं? He has used two instruments for the same expression of different, one Devi, one Rama, on two different occasions. ये भी होता है. You can't imagine the infinity which it is. And last but not the least, I thought some of these new compositions I must share with you. Such a beautiful song like Mahadeva Maheshwara, one of our junior boys in Prashanti Nilayam, he composed it. And this is a beautiful bhajan. I want all of you, this is a takeaway, and hopefully you all will sing it here. Sai Ram, bhajan karo, मन रे प्रभु का ध्यान धरो. साई राम भजन करो, मन रे प्रभु का ध्यान धरो. गाइए ना. साई राम भजन करो, मन रे प्रभु का ध्यान धरो. नित्य निरंजन पावन निर्मल, नित्य निरंजन पावन निर्मल, सुमिरन स्मरण करो. सुमिरन स्मरण करो. साई राम भजन करो मन रे प्रभु का ध्यान धरो। साई नाम का दीप जलाओ, साई नाम का दीप जलाओ, जग में उजियारा हो, जग में उजियारा हो, नाम जपा कर सदा निरंतर, नाम जपा कर सदा निरंतर, नाम जपा सदा निरंतर, जीवन धन्य करो, जीवन धन्य करो, साई राम राम राम, साई राम, 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 साई राम राम राम, साई राम राम राम, साई राम, साई राम राम राम, साई राम भजन करो मन रे प्रभु का ध्यान धरो। नित्य निरंजन पावन निर्मल, नित्य निरंजन पावन निर्मल, सुमिरन स्मरण करो, सुमिरन स्मरण करो, साई नाम का दीप जलाओ, साई नाम का दीप जलाओ, जग में उजियारा हो, जग में उजियारा हो, नाम जपा कर सदा निरंतर, नाम जपा कर सदा निरंतर, जीवन धन्य करो, जीवन धन्य करो, साई राम राम राम, साई राम, 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 साई राम भजन करो मन रे प्रभु का ध्यान धरो। अनुपम सुंदर नंद किशोरा वृंदावन घनश्याम मुरली माधव राधे गोविंदा मुरली माधव राधे गोविंदा नटवर सुंदर श्याम सत्य साई सुंदर श्याम वृंद विहारी मंदर गिरिधारी कमल नयन भगवान कमल नयन भगवान भक्तों के प्रभु परतीश्वर साई नटवर सुंदर श्याम सत्य साई सुंदर श्याम अनुपम सुंदर नंद किशोरा वृंदावन घनश्याम रक्ष रक्ष साईश्वरः हरि ओम तत्सत् श्री साईश्वरार्पणमस्तु. Yeah, I was telling you that Swami is a continuous presence. And even this time when I was coming to Mumbai, I started to reach Bagdogra, it takes 4 hours by road from Gangtok. And the normal time is normally it takes around 4 hours. But this time I was caught up in a terrible traffic jam. There was a road accident on the highway. And I didn't know what to do, and we were just crawling. And I knew that I was already late to reach the airport. And then we reached a railway crossing. After getting through the traffic jam, there was another traffic jam caused by in the railway crossing. And right there, I also alighted from the cab. And I was asking people, I was so concerned, when will the train come? I was telling them my only concern was the train should come and pass, and then they should open the gate. And right at the time, there was an Air Force gentleman. He was on a bullet, riding a bullet. And he told me, listening to you, you seem to be in a hurry. So I said, I'm almost missing my flight. So he said, you abandon your cab, and sit behind me. And then I was right from Sikkim, as though prepared for that. I was carrying just one cabin luggage with me. It was very light. Then I could just take out my luggage and sit with him. And from there onwards, he reached me to the airport in almost less than half an hour. By 5 o'clock, I was in the airport. So I didn't even have time to thank him. I just got down from the airport, from the bike, and I was telling him, thank you so much, Bhaiya. And then he said, Mera bhi Air Force yahi hai na, I'm from the Air Force. So Bagdogra is in the Air Force area. So that was again, you can take it any way. For me, it was Swami again who sent him, Swami's grace that brought me here. And this had to really happen. Thank you so much, Sarah.